Hi there, Serial Trader here. I want to do an update on Bitcoin primarily, but we'll look at a couple other things as well. And definitely some significant action to look at here and derive some information from. Okay, so first off, I want to just throw up the overall wave count that we've been working and basically working an impulse wave that appears still incomplete off the December 2018 lows on Bitcoin. Same goes for a lot of other cryptos and Ethereum and that sort of thing. Okay, now for the longest time, I have been working this as a potential triangle wave 4. Okay, well, we've gone too far below now. Okay, we've not only taken out the proposed C wave low, but also the A wave low, so we can no longer by any stretch of the imagination consider this a triangle wave 4. Does that mean that we're going to zero? No, it certainly doesn't. It just simply means we have to adjust which corrective pattern this wave 4 is. And I mean, there's a couple kind of lead ideas I would be willing to entertain, and that would be where we just have an A, B, C expanded flat, although you can do it. I don't love the getting a 5-wave move down for this C wave, since a flat should be a 3-3-5 pattern, but it does kind of meet the criteria overall. Has the overall sideways look, and the B wave made a new high, the C wave made a new low below A, B above the origin of A, so it meets basically all the criteria you'd be looking for in an expanded flat. But you could also consider this to be a double 3, where we have a corrective, maybe even, if you bear with me here, if we went on a shorter term time frame, you could go a 3-3-5, so you could call this kind of an unusual expanded flat. And then you would have a zigzag up, like an X-wave zigzag. Okay, so the zigzag would be the correction that's connecting this other corrective move to the downside, and then perhaps another ABC zigzag or something like this, right? So it could potentially be expanded flat, zigzag, zigzag, so a double 3 complex correction. But again, these pattern nuances, not really important at this point, okay? I mean, we can debate which pattern it fits best whenever we want, but what's the real, important question is, what's the opportunity here, or is there opportunity here? Well, I certainly think that there is. So whatever pattern we end up calling this wave 4, it's by any stretch of the imagination, a nice kind of sideways looking trading range wave 4. Yes, we're now poking down below the lower region of that trading range, but I suspect it will just be a temporary poke below and then a huge recovery from there. But overall, what do we have? We have a 5-wave move up, we have a sharp wave 2 down, we have a strong wave 3 up, and then we have a more sideways looking wave 4 that consume more time. So that's the guideline of alternation between a sharp wave 2 versus a sideways wave 4. So all that's looking good. This is basically exactly what you would have expected, now that it's happened. Of course, as this wave 4 was developing, it's over a year in the making at this point. I mean, before we had this much pattern development, it was really anyone's guess what the ultimate corrective pattern would be, but now, we're getting clarity as it's nearing its completion, by my estimation. Okay, so all that being said, I'll look at something else here too. So we'll put on these ATR channels. Now we're on log scale, but these will work better on regular scale here. And what I want to show is actually the monthly, okay? And I'll show you at prior major lows, this -1 monthly ATR basically caught the low quite nicely. So even in the March 2020 decline, we just briefly stabbed below that, but largely caught by this -1 monthly ATR. Also here, the December 2018 low, that was almost perfectly caught by this -1 monthly ATR. Back here, this 2015 low, again, this -1 monthly ATR catching those lows quite nicely, okay? So I just want to give some context. Now, where are we currently sitting with this -1 monthly ATR? Right around 25K, let's call it 24 to 26 range or something like that. Now, we don't necessarily have to get there. although it's not like it's so far away. We've been as low as 27.9 so far. But that should be a very nice level, a nice technical, piece to catch the low as we've caught all the prior lows. And they all felt the same. They all felt like it's all over. Bitcoin's going to zero. It's a scam. Always the same sentiment, always the same rhetoric. But the negative one monthly ATR, there's no spin on that. That's just simply a condition that existed each time that nicely caught the lows. So I don't expect it to be any different this time if it even gets there. Been through a lot of these and they all feel uncomfortable, basically when you're at the point of maximum opportunity in retrospect. Okay, so that's why I want to show those ATR channels on the monthly. So fine, we've done that. Now, what else was I going to look at? Okay, I think I want to go here. Another thing. Another objective, technical measure here. Okay, so here I have a weekly chart. We're in log scale. Not that this will make any difference to the RSI, so I'll leave it in log scale. And at our March 2020 low, on the weekly RSI for Bitcoin, at our wave 2 low, RSI went as low as 33.39. So right now, in May of 2022, where, we're expecting this wave 4 low, whereas weekly RSI currently it's at 33.38, 33.39. So we're right there. We're just literally matching what we had at that March 2020 pandemic low in RSI on the weekly. Now the weekly, that's significant, right? Now remember, weekly, you don't have to get oversold on the weekly, but in this case, I'm just looking at the comparative levels of weekly RSI, and we are right there, exactly where we were, almost identical to that March 2020 low, which obviously was a very important low and gave birth to this huge third wave up. And I'm expecting and anticipating that this will give birth to the big wave 5 up to, well over 100K. Still fully expecting all of that. This isn't changing my mind one bit, okay? In fact, if you got dry powder laying around, this is that time where it might feel uncomfortable, but it's actually likely the best time to be deploying that dry powder. Okay, now, well, no, we can stay here. Daily. Look at our daily RSI. So, daily RSI has been pretty reliable. Look at all the other times we got, and we are oversold right now currently on daily RSI, by the way. All these other times we got oversold on daily RSI, they marked either significant bottoms or at least, a good place for a significant bounce to materialize for the most part. Okay, so we're there. We are still in that oversold condition on daily RSI. On 4-hour RSI, we actually have a bullish divergence, which is what you'd want to see. So lower lows in price, higher lows in RSI. I believe the hourly is the same. Yes, it is. So those are some beautiful technical conditions for us to find a bottom real soon here. Okay. Okay, so there's all that. Now we've also got. Okay, we know that Bitcoin and crypto has been pretty correlated to just the general markets, which is fine because they've all been in a big correction. But I think, okay, so that means, well, can Bitcoin, and or other cryptos really bottom until the general markets do? I mean, it'll be easier if the general markets bottom and start rallying with them, that's for sure. And now we're starting to get to a point where I think that's becoming a much stronger possibility. So just looking at the S&P 500 from our January high, looks like we can get a nice ABC down, okay, a 535 down. And we actually have better looking 5-wave subdivisions for wave C here of, proposed 4 potentially. And we also have AC equality. We just hit it today. So A versus C equality was at 39.33, okay? And we went as low as 39.28. And we're right at the bottom of this parallel trend channel. Now, we can get a little messy down here as we kind of, create the bottom. But largely, this area, if we're going to get a nice reaction, this is certainly a prime area for it to start happening. Okay, so that's SPX. Now, how about NDX? There's been talk of, this high correlation between Bitcoin and the NASDAQ. Well, okay. That means that if the NASDAQ's going to bottom soon and start rallying, that should also be helpful for the Bitcoin, and larger crypto case. Okay. Well, let's look at this. This is a weekly chart. And here's RSI that we had at the March 2020 low on the NASDAQ 100. That came into play at 29.99, so just about 30 on the dot, before we had our big reversal and huge rally into that November 21 high. Where are we at now on weekly RSI? We're at 29.40. We're actually currently slightly lower on weekly RSI than we were in March of 2020 at the bottom. So I like that. And okay, if the NASDAQ is also doing some sort of, now the overall wave count to me is less clear on the NASDAQ. This is too much to be a fourth wave for any of this prior move. In fact, if you want to call this a 1-2, something like that, it can't be because we got 4-1 overlap. Don't worry about that. The overall count could be obscure, but so far we have what looks like a three-wave decline here to deal with. So potentially an ABC zigzag decline, a big one, obviously. Now we're not quite the equality relationship on the regular scale, which would be 11,566. So far we've been as low as 11,939. But if I go into log scale, which perhaps is more appropriate on the NASDAQ given the magnitude of the move we've had on this time scale, we're very close to it if you go into log scale. Log scale AC equality is 11,896, which is, very close to where we currently are. So just a little context there. Okay. Now, even if this isn't a correction and it's going to be something worse, we're in a condition where even if it's an all-out bear market and it's nowhere near completed, we're in a condition where we're likely to have a significant, bear market or counter trend rally. Okay, just like we had here, this proposed B wave, that was an enormous move up, across various indexes and stocks and you name it. So I think we're getting at least close to that point again, if not the point of actually having some sort of real bottom and potentially higher highs to come. Again, it feels very difficult to say that, when you feel uncomfortable down here at these lows with things getting extreme, but been through this so many times before. March 2020, but of course before that, the 2009 lows, I think it might have been the 2011 and or the 2013 low. I think there was in 2016 there was something. It always feels the same. It feels like, oh no, this is the big one. It's finally happening. 1929 to 1932 all over again. Great Depression possibly. All that is possible, of course, but it's only going to be that once, and every other time it's going to be like all these prior times where no, it wasn't the end, of the financial world, and it was just another great buying opportunity or trading opportunity, or however you want to view it. So still undecided what that is, but I think the technical conditions across all these indexes and crypto, they're all in the same spot, and they're all indicating that at the very least a very potent relief rally is coming real soon, if not the beginning of a next significant uptrend. So we'll reserve judgment as to what exactly it is for now. But I mean, for me, it's much more clear on Bitcoin. Like, this is a fourth wave all day long, okay? And it's exactly what you'd want after that second wave, and then we're looking for wave 5 up. I also think it's pretty clear on the S&P that so far it looks like an ABC down. But again, it can look that way at first and then continue going down, and all of a sudden we're thinking, oh my goodness, it's a third wave to the downside. Super cycle or grand super cycle declines are on the way or underway. But I don't think we should be jumping to that conclusion just yet. So just thought I'd put this video out there while it's happening, not after the fact, saying, oh, look how good of an opportunity that was. I want to put it right now in the heat of the moment when things look extreme, when discomfort levels are very high. And I feel the same discomfort, and I felt it all those other times in both crypto and the overall markets near those major bottoms. It feels the same. It likely will be the same, and we'll just have to see. Time will prove exactly what this is, but you have my thoughts now. All right, Serial Trader signing off. Okay, so just one more quick thing I wanted to point out that I forgot to. Okay, so we are making, again, lower lows on SPX here, but we are getting the kind of divergences you would want to see if we're going to have some sort of big reversal here, and that's where we are making lower highs on the VIX compared to the lower lows on the SPX. We are making lower highs on VVIX compared to the lower lows on SPX. So we have the VIX VVIX divergence between SPX, and actually on an even shorter time frame from this measuring point, we made a slightly higher high on VVIX, but we're making a lower low on VIX. So we have both a VIX VVIX divergence on a shorter, smaller magnitude basis, and then we have a little bit longer or more significant of a divergence between lower highs on both VIX and VVIX and the lower lows in SPX. So not a signal yet, but know what to look for. The divergence holds. We get back below the red moving average on VVIX and back above the blue moving average on SPX. And that would be a fresh buy signal and potentially a very potent one given the technical condition we are in. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. And that's it. Thanks.